So I want to take a couple more questions from our audience, and then we'll wrap things up here. Here's one from Lawrence. And Dr. Lee, you alluded to this a little bit earlier. Do you think modern informatics will help the handoffs between discovery and manufacturing? Information visibility, collaboration potentially unlocked by being on the same ELD, for example.
Yeah, I do hope that that's the case, right? I think the way the platform works, and I alluded to this a little bit earlier, at the end of the day, it's completely dependent on the biochemical and biophysical properties of the molecule, right? So we know, that the polish steps are highly dependent on, the charge characteristics of the molecule, et cetera. And that's the information that is, really hard baked into the way the molecule is designed. It's the amino acid sequence. It's the three-dimensional conformation of that protein. And the discovery organizations will have that information in hand. Right now, the process is being sort of optimized in sort of an empirical way. You just test, sort of a suite of standard conditions to see, which ones work best for your molecule. It would be great someday, and we're nowhere near that yet, to be able to take that primary information and use sort of more predictive tools and knowledge to develop that process, really in a more bespoke manner, and then use those sort of feedback loops and real-time monitoring to make sure that the process is able to respond to your molecule. That would be my dream, but that would be a really great way to marry that information coming from R&D to develop that optimal process.
Yeah.
I think if we're talking about dreaming, to me, understanding some of the methodology, I don't know if it needs to be in a more contextual way, or maybe I will say using the automation and technology that goes into discovery and development. Why can't we just scale that up into an industrial system, and the translation of code happens automatically? That would be part of my dream, for sure. Why do we? I guess one way to say it is right now we describe all that on paper and then we translate it back into code in our instrumentation and our equipment.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're running a bit short on time here, but I wanna just wrap up with some concluding thoughts. Avril, the concluding thought I want to get from you, because as I mentioned when I sort of introduced you and your industry experience, it comes from several different perspectives, right? You've got the outsourcing experience, supplier experience, small bio, large bio. Give us some parting thoughts on how biopharmas and suppliers, and when I say suppliers, I'm classifying like not just equipment or software or platform suppliers. I'm talking about perhaps the outsourcing community. How can biopharmas and the supplier community work best symbiotically, from both those perspectives?
Yeah, and I guess one perspective I bring is coming from a big biotech into some smaller companies, and thinking about that talent crunch that we're all going through. We no longer can cultivate every SME within our company that we need. And so how do we think about our industry as more of a community and extensions of our teams as we meet different SMEs? And so I'd like to see that be more strategic at all companies, not just my company. I think that is the way to go about it. Definitely don't think about your suppliers as only transactional relationships. That's my advice.
Very good, and I'm sure our sponsor, the sponsor of today's event, 3M, will be happy to hear that that advice. Dr. Lee, I'm going to ask you to wrap up with Another great big question that's difficult to respond to. Where's mAb manufacturing going from here? What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, I think as we touched on, there's increased complexity of the molecules being developed right now, and I would love to see that CMC is never the rate limiting step in bringing these sort of innovative molecules to the clinic. We can't stifle innovation simply because the platform doesn't work well with these kind of molecules. And we're already beginning to see a lot more innovation in this space. I think that's the direction that we will be moving towards, really expanding the platform beyond just monoclonal antibodies.
Excellent. Well, that's all the time we have. That hour went very rapidly, did it not?
It did.
Yeah, great.
I want to thank you, you both, so very much for joining us, for sharing your insight, for sharing your expertise. It's been a pleasure getting to know you both over the last several months, and I hope you'll come back and join us again. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your time and insight with us.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us, Matt.
Thank you also to our guests. And as a reminder, this discussion will be available on demand in 24 hours, within 24 hours, using the same link you used today. Please visit us at Bioprocess Online, subscribe to our newsletter, subscribe to the Business of Biotech podcast for more candid conversations with the leaders shaping the biopharma space. And finally, mark your calendars for our next Bioprocess Online live discussion. It's on Tuesday, August 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to dive into the pitfalls and promises of regulatory harmonization and convergence. Thank you again, and have a great day.